My name is Valerie Fargion. I teach EU Public Policies in the Master Program in International Relations and European Studies at the University of Florence, and I also coordinate the European Studies track. I'll first say a few words on the course and then a few words as coordinator. We all know that the European Union is right now in deep trouble. Actually, if we take a long-term perspective, we shouldn't be that surprised, because over the last 400 years, member states have actually been building different kinds of functional boundaries, making the different countries more and more different from each other. I'm talking about administrative, political, military, cultural differences. But actually, despite all of this, over the last 60 years, the EU has been taking important decisions, actually without the citizens paying much attention to what was happening at the supranational level. So the aim of this course is actually to focus on policy making at the EU level and to try and provide the students with a toolkit that can help them in understanding how these policies have been decided at the EU level. Which in detail means addressing how certain problems enter the political agenda. What is the role of interest groups? What is the role of experts in policymakers? Who are the key actors in policymakers? What kind of resources do they have? This also means going beyond the institutional framework. So I'm not just interested in the institutional framework. I will be using, let's say, the theories, the analytical and concepts and tools that have been worked in a discipline, in the public policy. So the first part is more theoretical. The second part is more empirical, and there we'll be using the concept discussed in the first part to analyze specific policy fields. Obviously, the powers and competences of the EU vary depending on the policy sector that we're considering, and the distribution of responsibilities between the national and the supranational level is not that clear-cut, which makes things even more difficult. But obviously, it is impossible to consider all the policy fields, so in order to avoid overlapping with other courses, what I'll do is I'll just focus on a limited number of policy areas. I will avoid, because other courses are addressing, I will avoid the single market, competition, environment, and energy. You might think that I will be considering areas that are not really the core business of the EU, but in fact the areas that I'll be talking about have acquired increasing importance over recent years. So I'll first start by looking at the budget, budgetary policies. Where does the money come from and how is the money spent, which means analyzing the functional breakdown of the EU budget. Once we have analyzed budgetary policies, we'll be looking at EU social policies. And here you might think, well, but the EU has never been that important in social policies because social protection systems are basically a responsibility of member states. Yes, it is so, but decisions that have been taken at the EU level have had a crucial impact on national welfare states. So I think it is important to understand how those decisions have had an impact on national social protection system. Third area that we'll be looking at is structural funds, which means a policy that is very important, especially for the more backward areas. And in that case, we'll be looking at implementation of a policy at the national, regional, and local level, looking at how regional governments and local governments intervene in this policy area. Last but not least, we'll be looking at development cooperation. That means, what is the EU doing in developing countries? And if you think about migration and the issues that we're facing right now, I think that you can understand that this is really a crucial area, and that is in fact the area in which I'm carrying out most of my research currently. So I'll be looking at what the EU does we will be looking, with the students, what the EU does especially in sub-Saharan Africa. So, and especially trying to point out the gap that exists between this course and policy practice. A few words, the course is highly interactive. I encourage the students to actively participate in discussions. I encourage students to make a presentation in class. And what else? Well, this is it. Maybe I can say a few words as coordinator. I would like just to highlight the fact that I encourage all my students to spend at least 3 months in Brussels, because I think you can't just study how the EU works on books. You have to see how it works in practice. Second thing that I would like to mention, and by the way, I use the Erasmus program, so that provides the financial support for the internships in Brussels. Second thing that I'd like to mention is that we've been carrying out for a number of years a simulation of a EU decision-making process with the James Madison program in Florence under the supervision of two high-ranking officials of the European Parliament. Last thing that I would like to mention is that there are a number of workshops and seminars and conferences that students can attend outside, not exclusively at our university, but also at the European University Institute. And all of this you can find on the website, so I really encourage students to use the website of our master course. That's it.